entire purpose of being here is to share my story with you guys, share my struggles with you guys, and most importantly, share my life lessons with you guys. And I'm 25 years old, guys, so I have a lot of life to live. So you'll probably come back here, maybe. So yeah, just to start off with my journey at MBIS, I joined here in the 6th grade, and I was here till the 2016 Emerald House students. Give me a cheer. I was the vice prefect of the Emerald House in the 9th grade, which is also the year we first introduced the Best Marching House trophy, which we won, rightfully. 10th grade, I was the prefect of the Emerald House again, promoted, won the Best Marching House trophy again. 11th grade, won the Best Marching House trophy and Best House trophy. We pulled a double over the rest of the houses. So yeah, just a brief about what my school life looked like and how my student leadership journey begun. On to my final year at MBIS, I was elected to be the head boy, a dream for me, which came true. With the support of the management, of the teachers present, and of the coordinators, principals, head of school, I was able to bring about a lot of changes into the student council and into the student body. I was given a lot of freedom. We brought about reforms in the student council by giving student leaders, house prefects, more freedom and more responsibility and accountability for their house. It was unfortunately the norm at the time that certain houses, I'm not going to take names, certain houses, the house teachers would be doing the work of the house prefect, and that angered me because I was a student leader. I was representing the house, but this time I had a bigger responsibility of representing what the entire student body is supposed to be like and bridge the gap between teachers and the students. So that was the first act that we did. Then we had a lot of innovative ideas. We had the first ever teachers treasure hunt on Teachers' Day. Conventional celebration, had cards distributed while in the cafeteria, in the multipurpose hall. And while the rest of the student council set up and hid clues all across the campus, and we had a treasure hunt for the teachers. We had a students versus teachers cricket match on Children's Day, and followed by Sports Day, and followed by Annual Youth Consensus, which was MBIS's first ever intra-model United Nations conference. And yeah, that was also the year I was awarded the IRB scholarship. So that is my time at MBIS. And then I graduated. And that's when the struggles began. I decided to take a gap year because I did not receive the necessary scores required to secure my admission at my dream university in Hong Kong, which led to me taking a gap year and evaluating my options. In the gap year, I knocked on every door. I knocked on every door, and essentially during the gap year, I went back to my first love, which was essentially, not Rahul, sorry, dancing. I headlined a YouTube Fan Fest 2018 with Matt Stefanina, who's the most subscribed choreographer on YouTube. I also had the opportunity to collaborate with Raja Kumari and Divine. Everybody knows Divine, who Divine is, come on, right? But essentially, in 2018, this is what had happened. 2017, I started United Diplomats Association, which turned out to be a passion project, something to keep myself engaged. And in 2018, essentially, had the second edition of UDM on, did a lot of dancing, and I joined ISME School of Management and Entrepreneurship, which is where I attained my diploma in business management and entrepreneurship. At ISME, I was the vice president of Agile, the fitness club. I used to be I was in my first year. In the second year, I was elected to be the president of the fitness club. I don't know how, but essentially in the final year during the pandemic, I was the vice president of the economic society of my college. So that is a little bit about the student leadership, and this excerpt over here is the first ever outstation institution that hired us to conduct a 3-day boot camp at their institution. That is half the batch. I went down to the Gurukul Foundation School in Uttarakhand, where I trained 105 students in 3 days for an MUN conference. And yeah, this is from ISME, that is Raul Fernandez and me at UDM's third edition, where basically Raul and I co-founded the organization. Raul Fernandez, also former alumni and a really close friend of mine whom I met at MBIS. 2020 to 2023, the pandemic era flew by, which is why there's only one slide dedicated to it. Okay. In 2020 to 2023, I essentially had to cease operations temporarily of UDA because I did not believe in the concept of online MUNs. Okay. Ceased the operations, the team had dissolved, I had to sink or swim, so I decided to swim. I applied for internships, I graduated from ISME, I got a job, switched a job. In the bottom left corner, you will see, your bottom right corner, you will see the team from Avenue Learning, which is essentially the US-based company that I was working with, and I learned the most at my time with Avenue. Followed by, after I left my job at Avenue, I joined improv comedy, which is where the Habitat logo, the J-Spot logo, which I'm actively still doing. It essentially helped me practice my vocal skills, my stage skills, and essentially allowed me to network with individuals who have far more life experiences than I do. Then we come to 2024, when I decided to restart the operations of the United Diplomats Association and successfully conducted UDM 2024, where Padma Ma'am graced us with the presence as the guest of honor, followed by Ultimatum, the premier debate competition, and that's the student internship team that's a part of the photograph. So yeah, that's just my journey in a nutshell, but essentially what I'm here to talk about is my struggles. A mix of two proverbs or a mix of two sentences, phrases that we hear all the time. Nobody is perfect and practice makes perfect. This was sort of an obsession that I developed, right? An obsession is a good thing if you know how to channel it, right? My obsession with being the best in the room started with my education in Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong from 1999 when I was born till 2009 before I moved to India and joined MBIS. When I was in Hong Kong, I was obsessed with leadership positions because it was so important. The weightage of having a badge pinned to your chest was very effectively communicated. I still remember that if you were a prefect, like a monitor basically, right? A class monitor would get an orange color badge. Right. If you were a prefect, a disciplinarian, then you'd be getting a red color badge. And if you were a student librarian, you'd be getting a purple color badge. And I was obsessed with, assembling my own cheap, you can say, spin-off of the Infinity Gauntlet. I wanted all three badges. And I got the student librarian badge. I got the prefect badge. I secured a scholarship by placing 13th in a batch of 250 students in Hong Kong. And then I had to leave all of that behind, leave all my progress behind, move to India in the middle of my 5th grade. But that obsession still remained. Because, I don't know if you can see, but
Oh, sweet.
I still have my prefect badge from my tenure in the 10th grade. I still have my prefect badge from my 11th grade. And the most important one that I hold closest to my heart is the head boy badge. So yeah, obsession is a good thing if you know how to channel it. So, food for thought, just think about what I've just said right now. Then we move on to the next phase. Student leadership can get lonely. Let it sink in. I see all the prefects wearing the sash, right? Be honest with yourselves. Don't have to say this answer. Be honest with yourselves. How many times have you had a killer idea that you would love to execute, but you haven't had the support from your fellow student council members to execute it? Just think about it. And if you've had that support, I commend you, I congratulate you, you guys have made it. Because the achievements that I just mentioned. But yeah, it's essentially student leadership can get lonely. And it's essentially driven by the fact that you're obsessed with an idea. You know how to channel that idea. You have an idea that you believe can change everything, you know? But what I did in school was not what a leader does. I was a good leader when I was the prefect of the Emerald House. The reflection of that was because when I stood up to be the head boy, the candidature for being the prefect of the Emerald House was the highest amongst all the other houses. That's how I know that I did a good job, because I developed and groomed the next leaders to take my position. When I was the head boy, I didn't do that. I was obsessed with being the best in the room. You don't have to be the best in the room. You have to be the best version of yourself. Moving on to the next third. In the next phase of my life, when I started United Diplomats Association, I went to the one person I know who had my back when I was the head boy, Rahul Fernandez, who was the sports captain, who was the favorite to be the head boy. But he wasn't. And I did not take that with, neither did he feel bad about it, because both of us worked together to do all the ideas and execute all the ideas that I just mentioned earlier. So I knew that I could bank on him. I knew I could count on him, which led to me approaching him to build United Diplomats Association. Because he saw eye to eye with me on the one principle that entrepreneurship is problem solving. No, it's not. Entrepreneurship is not problem solving. It is solutions providing. If you're thinking about solving a problem, you look for a problem everywhere. And when you're looking for a problem, you're not focusing on the solution. For me, the true definition of entrepreneurship is being a solutions provider, because you focus on solutions. Making something better is a solution. There's nothing problem with it. There's no problem with something that already exists. But how can you make it better? That is where the true growth lies. The next piece of advice that I'll leave behind for you guys is one for the kitchen, one for the soul. This is, the first time I heard this was by a famous comedian, MBISMalad, who was giving a TED talk. And he said this, and I still remember this. I wrote it on my wall, I wrote it on the board, I wrote it everywhere. Because what this essentially means is, you need to work for money to pay your bills, but do not stop or give up on your hobby for your soul. Whether it is dancing, whether it's improv, whether it's playing football, whether it's any sport, any art, anything that satisfies the inner child in you. And this goes for parents over here, because y'all are still children, so you won't understand this. But essentially, never let the inner child in you die. During the pandemic, I was laid off from Avenue, found my calling with improv comedy. While improv did not pay the bills, it certainly did help me find peace within myself. I had lost sight of what the bigger picture is. I was always driven to be an impact-driven individual. I wanted to create an impact in whatever I did. But when I took up a job, when I took up a position, when I was just doing something that somebody else told me to do, I was not creating an impact at a macro level, something that I really wanted to do. So thank God for me being laid off, because that led to me restarting operations of United Diplomats Association. Next piece of advice, which is the second last piece of advice I would like to leave you guys behind with, is if you're going through hell, why would you stay there? We say this, I'm going through a bad time, man. Cool. Power through it. Let it pass. I lost out on my dream university because my predicted grades in the IB diploma program was 38 points. A week before my examinations, I lost my grandmother. 4 days after I lost my grandmother, my girlfriend dumped me. That led to me not receiving the sufficient grades for my diploma program and going through an emotional spiral. But look at here today, right? If you're going through hell, why would you stay there? Find friends outside of what you're doing who will keep you grounded, who will give you the reality check, who will prove to you that, listen, you might be a leader in your industry, but as an individual, who are you? Now, on a more brighter note, the last piece of advice that I would like to leave you guys behind with is, be the supporting character in other stories, but be the main character in your own story. After I restarted UTA, I was all over LinkedIn, I was all over social media, celebrating myself. I didn't post for others, as ma'am rightfully mentioned earlier. I didn't post for others, I posted for myself. And whoever could find happiness in my journey essentially joined me on that journey. And they got off and they left that journey whenever it was convenient for them. And essentially life comes a full circle because 8 years ago I pitched the idea to my then coordinator and principal that, so ma'am, let's have a TEDxYouth talk. Their response was, Pache, leave something for others to do. So again, thank you very much to everybody for hearing me out. And yeah, in diplomacy, we believe.